and postcast beyond the paywall. Monday night, we're never going to do a Sunday night again. We are determined to do every night but Sunday night.
It's
And I
fine.
think, yeah, it's
I mean,
at
we
least
we we record this so late. I don't go to the gym the next morning, so it's good that I get the week started in the gym. So yeah, let's never record on Sunday night again.
okay. There we go. That's why. Hey, nice haircut, by the way. I know you got a
Thank you.
haircut, didn't you? Yeah.
The
See,
like 2 weeks ago. Thanks for noticing a week late.
are
Whatever.
you serious? Was it 2 weeks ago? And last time we did this had a lot going on. I just moved Jordan into college, and it
Plus the
was a whole
lights
thing.
seem brighter tonight. I think the umbrella's a little lower.
Maybe I think the air is just a little thinner. Like the
Yeah,
humidity isn't as thick. There's not like a haze
yeah,
in the air.
yeah. It's not like it's steamy, foggy out here. Yeah, that could have something to
Man,
do with
I
it
bet it
too.
feels so much better than it has in the past. Like when we've done these. Yeah,
Yep.
because I got my windows open tonight. I don't know. I'll probably be hot when I sleep, but they are wide open.
The last 2 or 3 weeks we've done this, my shirt would be wet by now.
Yeah, it was miserable.
Yeah.
By the way, when you were in elementary school, did y'all make like leading up to Christmas break? Did you make the paper chains where you would tear off a ring every day that you got closer to Christmas? You know what I'm talking about? Where you would like,
I remember making a chain. I don't remember tearing it off each day. I think the one we did, we just wrapped around the tree and acted like that was a cool decoration.
we would tear a ring off, and I'd take
Yeah.
it home until we had one left before Christmas. That's what I do for football season. So I've got mine in the back. I made mine, and so now we're down to like when I say football, I'm more of an NFL guy, but college is coming up, like
Hmm.
real college. I know FCS started last weekend.
Well, there was some. I mean, there was a
Or
Big
there's some.
12 game.
Oh, was there a Big
Uh,
12? Okay.
yeah, they went to Ireland for some reason, and
Yeah, I can't get into that because like that's when like how MLB opens up in Japan or Korea like a week before. Like I don't even
and,
watch those. That
and the
doesn't count.
NFL's done that a few times too. It's like college football. If you want to have a proper opening in a special place, there are three places that it
Hmm.
needs to happen: Birmingham, Atlanta, or Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. That's been a big one the last 15 years, right?
Yeah,
I agree.
maybe New Orleans, but I consider that more of an NFL town. Dallas obviously is an NFL town, but you know some big college football games have happened there since Jerry built that brand
Oh
new
yeah,
stadium there.
ever since 2000, I think it opened in 2009. That was like they've had a major college game usually to open the season
Yeah,
most years.
is it
Is there
that
one this
old?
year? Yeah, 2009. I was Jordan. They just moved down there then, and so I
Hmm.
can remember seeing. I'd taken her to the dentist office, and it was way up high uh, outside of Dallas, and they imploded the old stadium in Irving, and I could see the dust from her dentist office when they did
So
it.
you were
That
there when
was
it actually happened. Okay.
yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
Uh, in a full circle moment, talking about Dallas's old stadium, when we were watching Kansas State and Iowa State, which was the Ireland game this week, it was kind of like the my dad even made a reference to the old Dallas stadium, and he didn't know that Dallas had built a new stadium, and I thought it was like a decade old, but it was actually 16 years old. He's like, "Yeah, it looks like they're just playing in Dallas." I'm like, Dad, that that went away with George W.
Yeah, it was the new stadium. I've been to one game there. I saw Green Bay play there in 2019. It's like
Hmm.
a mix between an airport and a mall, but then they play football. Like it's
And then
so
there just
nice.
happens to be a football
There
stadium
just
there.
happens to be a football stadium. It is immaculate. Like the seats are like leather. I mean, it is. It's so. I'm worried that every NFL stadium at some point is going to be a dome, and I hate that. I think probably the majority of stadiums are probably dome now, or at least it's half and half. It's very
Lambeau,
close.
Green Bay will never have a dome.
They better not, dead gummit. Like they better not ever get a dome in Green Bay.
That would be like saying the Red Sox are going to move out of Fenway,
I know, but you never know, man. But no, surely Green Bay would never put a dome over their stadium.
or the Cubs and Wrigley. Like I
Yeah,
if that were to ever happen, that's a world I don't want to live in.
Well, the Bears are talking about building a new stadium, and they were talking about doming it. And like, I don't feel like that's not right. Like,
Are they
football
still at
needs to
Soldier
be.
Field?
They're still at Soldier Field, but it's been
Wow.
renovated so many times, and it's really nice. I mean, it is. It's a very nice stadium, but I don't know. I don't want every stadium to be domed. I like the elements in football.
Yeah.
So what do
Oh
you
well.
got? You got Bama and Florida State this week, right? Make your pick real quick. What's the? I know you're going to pick Bama, but how much do you think they're going to win by?
Oh. Well, I'm not even sure I picked Bama because I mean
Really?
Florida State was really bad last year, so I guess based on that, I'll take Bama. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't trust this team. I don't trust, and that's not to say anything about West Tennessee's current favorite son in college football, Ty Simpson, because I would hope that West Tennessee's favorite son right now would be the highest paid lineman in NFL history, Trey Smith. But I mean, like I think I might have told you this week, right after the AP preseason poll came out, somebody put a graphic up on Facebook where it lists every preseason top 25 matchup throughout the season, and Alabama was in 5 of them. And I looked at who they were. I said, I could see Bama going 0-5 in those games. So I don't know. I mean, DeBoer has won everywhere he's been. I think last year was the most losses he's ever had in one season. And it's the most losses Alabama's had in one season since 2007, Saban's first year. But, you know, everybody's got to have one bad year. So maybe that was Bama's one bad year, and we'll beat Tennessee for the next 17 years again, and it'll be fine.
Probably. I'd say that as a Vol fan, but most of my adult life, it's been Alabama whooping us about every year. So what do you think? You think what's the line? 14?
It's probably something like that. Last I heard was 13.5, but that was
Okay.
one night last week. And that was also when we weren't sure if Bama's starting running back was going to be able to play.
Mm.
And if they've announced whether or not he can play, I haven't heard it. So,
So
I didn't realize my son was there.
if he doesn't play, what do you think? You got him by what, 10?
I say Bama by 50.
Okay. Bama by 50.
There we go.
And do you get excited? Do you get really excited before the first game of the year?
If it's a big game.
Mm-hmm.
And when Saban was coach, they were good about scheduling a Virginia Tech or a Clemson or a Louisville, or an intriguing matchup. And then after a run of those big games, then they started one year with like San Jose State or somebody like that. I was like, all right, wake me up when Texas is here or something.
Towards the end of Saban's coaching career at Alabama, he didn't schedule outside of conference any kind of like tough matchups much.
Uh, well, I mean, the last year before Texas entered the SEC, they came to
They played him.
No, they went to Austin. That's what it was.
Did they?
Because
Okay, I didn't
the
realize that.
first year in the SEC, Texas came to Bama and beat them.
Right.
Um, I mean, there was always one, at least one.
Okay.
But I mean, don't sleep on Georgia State.
That's right. Georgia
And
State, App State.
you of all people should not be sleeping on UT Chat. Okay.
Oh, I know I'm not. I'm not. I may have to attend a UT chat game. Asked Jordan if she was. She was like, no. Okay. I understand. All right. I don't know if there is any good way to transition to this first story from college football talk, which that would be great to do a whole podcast on football and
Yeah.
wrestling. But this is not that. This is the Jackson Post, and we're going to add a little bit extra outside of the print edition, but we're going to tie it in. So let's get to the rundown. Kind of a light issue this week. So we've only got 4 topics of discussion. The first one being Austin Drummond update. You had a story where you spoke with the family members of one of the victims,
Matthew Wilson.
Matthew Wilson. So we will get to that. But before we dive into that, you attended a hearing today for Austin Drummond in Lake County. You've been making regular trips up there for like the last 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. So we'll discuss what you heard there. Was it an arraignment? Was that the official word, or was this like a?
This was actually a bond hearing for his attempted murder charge and drug possession charge that he got while still in prison, that he was out on bond for when the 4 bodies were discovered in July.
Gotcha. All right. So we will get all of your information from that. We'll discuss the story you wrote about the victim's family. Then we'll shine some light, some happiness on this edition. We'll get the bad news out of the way first. The second story we'll talk about is local soldier surprising his children with a return home in a football game. There used to be commercials like this, I think, on NFL games I would watch, and I'd always get choked up. I love stories like this. So we'll discuss that. You'll sort of give us a peek behind the curtain of that story. That I think those are so great. I cannot imagine being someone in the military and being away from my kids for that long. So yeah, really good story. County Commission is going to pay for a traffic study for Pope. That seems like that's been a topic of conversation for a couple years, and we will rehash that a little bit, help me understand it a little bit better. And then we will discuss the Commissioner's Cup, which everybody seems to love, except I think the actual teams that play for it. So we'll talk about that. And that's turned into a big deal in local sports media, news, whatever it is. So talk about the Commissioner's Cup, and then I'll give a little recap of the JCM Northside game, which was a heck of a game to watch in person last Friday night. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So you were in Lake County today for the bond hearing for Austin Drummond. And so the first question I'll ask before you dive into this is, when did this occur? Like, I guess the follow-up is, how in the world did he get out if he did this in jail? I mean, because I know his time was up for what he was serving, and so I guess you can't hold somebody, right? Like until you go through help me understand this, I guess. Let me just back out and stop tripping over my words. Set us up here. How in the world was he out after attempting to kill someone while he was in jail?
All right, so I'll start with some stuff that was said today in court, where Circuit Court Judge Mark Hayes of the 29th Judicial District, which is Lake and Dyer County, he was one presiding over today's hearing. And he actually discussed at the beginning, I guess, to kind of make sure that both lawyers understood, and for anybody else in the room, and I guess Austin himself, exactly what the purpose of bond is. Because it is a guaranteed right in the U.S. Constitution. But in the state constitution for Tennessee, it's not a guaranteed right for anybody who has capital accusations against them or are deemed a threat to public safety. And, or anyone who the state is seeking the death penalty against, which usually if they're seeking the death penalty, at least one, if not both, of the first two circumstances are in play. But it's a guaranteed right. And the reason why it's a guaranteed right is that if it wasn't a guaranteed right and we could just put people in jail as soon as they were accused of a crime, then we're essentially already punishing them for the crime before they're actually convicted of it. And, you know, if it's a single parent or the majority breadwinner in the family, and then all of a sudden that person's income is gone, then that's some kids and a spouse that are suffering because that person's in jail and that person could still be innocent. And that's not a fair situation. Right. So bond is available for nearly everybody. So while he's in jail serving time for the aggravated robbery he was convicted of 10 years ago, Drummond apparently was involved in an incident that got him accused of attempted murder. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure when it happens. I don't know if my dog Duncan is trying to tell me when it happened. Dude, this is what you're missing, man. But hush, dude. One of my kids was, I think, taking trash out, and I think they heard the lid close. Sorry. But the whenever it happened, obviously it happened before he got out. He was released, I think, September of last year or October, sometime in 2024. And he had been he'd been given a bond or whatever, $100,000 for the attempted murder charge, $30,000 for the illegal drug possession charge. And he was out on bond. He made bond and was out when these murders happened on either on or right before July 29th. Well, we found out today that apparently they did happen on the morning of July 29th. But so when he got arrested on August 5th for the quadruple murder, on August 7th, he had the hearing for that where the bond was denied in that case. And so he already had a hearing planned, scheduled for this charge for today. But I think they changed it from preliminary hearing to bond hearing because the DA wanted to have the bond revoked in this charge. And I even, at the end of the press conference after the hearing, when Attorney General Goodman was talking to myself and WBBJ and a couple of people from Memphis, he said, "Any more questions?" I said, "I got one, but it may be kind of dumb." He said, "Okay," which I preface every question after these with, "I don't have a lot of experience covering this stuff, so excuse me if this is obvious and I just don't understand." But I said, "What if he's already denied bond for the quadruple murder? Then what's the point of this hearing?" And he said, "That's actually not a bad question. Thank you for asking, because I'm always good at asking questions." But he said, essentially, if something changes in this case to where we are not seeking the death penalty and he is awarded bond or given bond or whatever, then he still does not have bond from this charge.
This one.
So it's almost like for lack of a better word, a safety net.
That's what it says. It's like a security blanket in case something, goes awry.
Right.
Okay.
So, and the hearing was about 30 minutes. And it wasn't there were other cases on the docket, and they saved this one for last. In General Sessions Court, Judge Andrew Cook usually does the Drummond stuff first so that everybody can get out of there and they can just go about their normal business of court in Lake County. They saved this one for last. And they got through everybody else in about an hour and a half. And then there was a little bit of recess before they brought Drummond in. And I mentioned last week, because of what my wife and I do, we have had some dealings with that court in the past. So I've got a good idea of the courthouse and the layout of it. And so during this recess, I take the opportunity, because I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm just going to make a quick trip to the restroom. And where the restroom is you go out of the courtroom, take a left into a conference room, and then the restroom is on the side of that conference room. Well, I go out, and there's at least a dozen law enforcement officers out in the hallway, maybe upwards of 15. And I said, "Hey, is the restroom occupied? Can I go up here? Do I need to go downstairs?" And one of the officers got out of the way and ushered me to the door. And I walk into that conference room, and there's Mr. Drummond sitting right there at the table. I was like, and he had an officer with him. He wasn't in there alone.
Right.
But I was like, wow, this is the central figure in what could wind up being the biggest story of my career that I cover in my entire career, just sitting right here, right in front of me.
Well,
And
I do.
out of reflex, I just kind of said, "How you doing?" And kept walking.
Oh my God! Did he respond? He's like, not too
No,
good. No. Not having a great day. All right,
he
so
didn't even look at me.
here's my question. This is the first time that he's been there in person, right? Because I think
Right.
he appeared on video. So what was his demeanor like? Like, was he just stoic? Not really like, is there anything that stood out?
I don't know if I'd call it stoic. He was definitely standoffish. Um, he was not like I mean, I remember seeing when Zach Adams was first brought in for court in Decatur County after he was arrested for Holly Bobo's murder. I mean, I remember he did a lot of communicating with the media. I remember there's a video clip of him in handcuffs walking by the meeting like, "I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy."
Oh wow.
Drummond didn't even acknowledge that there was anyone else in the room. He just looked straight ahead, went to his seat, sat down. Now, maybe some people would define that as stoic, but um, I mean, maybe it was stoic. I don't know, but it was. I wouldn't describe it like that.
He was just
I think
he was just regular. I mean, just like,
and I think he was just trying to get it over with and get back to Ovine County where he's being held.
okay. So I guess I'm assuming they did not bond. Was that what ended up happening?
Or revoke the bond, yeah.
Revoked it. Okay, revoked.
Because he already had bond. Yeah, they revoked it. Had the one of the special agents from TBI was a witness, and essentially the state brought him up as a witness, to say this is why we think that he committed this crime while out on bond from this other crime. And then once he established that, then the state said, because we think he did this, we don't think he should be on bond for this other, or have the ability to be out on bond for this other thing. And it was defense attorney Drew Farmer's job to say, no, he didn't do this, or it's not a strong case that he didn't do it, so he needs to be allowed to have a bond.
Man, I did not realize Drew was the defense attorney in this particular situation.
He's the defense attorney on this case. Brian Huffman from Covington is still the court-appointed attorney for the quadruple murder.
But this was for what happened in the prison.
Right.
Okay. I'm friends with Drew. I had no idea. That's interesting. Now, how does that work? Was he court-appointed, or did the family hire him?
Family hired him.
Okay.
Because I did ask that on the way out. I said,
okay.
Why wouldn't you be appointed already if you're, he was like, I wasn't appointed. I said, oh, okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Also another fun fact, when I stopped at the gas station that has a Subway on Hollywood Drive before getting out of Jackson this morning, after covering budget committee and doing a thing at the Carnegie, Drew Farmer was in front of me in the line at the gas station. And then we wound up at the courthouse in an hour and a half away.
Wow. So, did you know that he was, until you, like, when you got there, you found out, or did you know ahead of time?
No, I didn't know ahead of time. He just walked in and started talking to the judge. I was like, hey, that guy was in front of me in line. And the people that work at the gas station were having a legal conversation with him like he was about to gain a new client. So
maybe he was. Hey, for the record, big Drew Farmer fan here, personally speaking. So yeah, like him a lot. Smart guy.
I've heard good things about him.
Yeah. He and I are the same. We played Little League baseball together, and then just sort of have known it. And when I used to work out the lift, he also worked out there about the same time. So we catch up, play a little basketball. Good guy. I'm sure he's a good attorney, but man, I would not want to be in his his position today at all.
He made a good case.
And you have to, right? Like, legally, you have to do that. So Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it was just a given that bond was going to be revoked at this point. So no surprises there. Was there any new information that came out today that we didn't know about, like the alleged uh, murders that he committed allegedly?
Yeah, not about the murders themselves, but about the initial investigation. Because when the special agent was up there, Mark Harbor, I think I've got to go back and correct his spelling in the story. I called him Harper, but it's Harbor with a B.
Hmm.
Um, um, he said, Farmer asked me, he's like, "What evidence do you have that suggests that he's the one who did this?" He's like, "We've got multiple cell phone numbers um, that he had. We've got cell data putting him there at the time we think the murders happened. We've got him leaving, going elsewhere, and then coming back there later in the day. And then after coming back a second time, he headed to Jackson and was pretty much there the rest of the week, just at different places. And um, the gun, they showed the video from Cornerstone Church of him
Hmm.
trying to get into the church late on the night of August the 3rd, that Sunday night before he was apprehended on Tuesday morning. They um, um, they've got him trying to get in. They've got him carrying an AR pistol, and so they added two more charges against him for attempted break-in and unlawful possession of a firearm.
So here's my question for that. I saw that and I wanted to ask this tonight.
Yeah.
You asked sort of like what was the point of doing the bond hearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he, so what's the point of adding more charges if you're already going to seek the death penalty? Like why like what's the point of these extra charges now?
Just because you're seeking the death penalty doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Okay.
So if you don't get the death penalty and you get 90 years in jail or in prison,
Right.
uh, adding attempted break in and unlawful possession, you could jack that up to 95 years or 100 years or whatever.
Okay.
Essentially,
Just covering bases so he doesn't see the light of day.
and running up the score to make sure, yeah, he doesn't see the light of
Okay.
day.
That's what I thought, but I was just like, man, that seems okay. Like what's like what I didn't understand, but makes sense now.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, they're going to swing for the fences, but if they don't get the home run, they want to get it in the biggest gap they can find and get it rolling as far as it can out toward the fence.
Do you
I'm gonna,
think, and this
I'm gonna see
is
if I can come up with another sports analogy to explain it.
your analogies are great, honestly. If I guess my question, I had it and now I just lost it. Dead
I'm
gummit.
sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Is there any talk of the defense attorney trying to get the like a request to move the trial like out of West Tennessee?
That
Is that
actually,
even
well,
possible?
I thought that's where Farmer was starting to go today. When he brought up, he said, I was in conference with my client before this hearing today, and it was brought to my attention during that conference that a video allegedly of the incident that they were discussing with the attempted murder charge while he was in prison made it onto the social medias. And it originally came from a uh, true crime blogger person, their Facebook page. They got linked up with our friends at 1015, and 1015 took the video and put it on theirs, and it really blew up then. Um, and so he made a statement to Judge Hayes. He said, "I'm concerned about the media coverage of this case." Um, and I thought he was starting to go to a change of venue type discussion. Um, but then he said, and when he mentioned what it was, he said, uh, "I'm just really concerned about a video like this getting leaked out, because if you watch the video, and I did, it's not the actual footage per se.
Mhm. Right.
It's a clip of someone filming a video or the clip on their laptop. or on a laptop. Because when the video cuts out, they're taking their phone away and you from the image, and you see the laptop frame and all that stuff. And of course, Attorney General Danny Goodman immediately stands up and says, "Your Honor, my office did not authorize that. This is the first time hearing of it. We had nothing to do with that." And Farmers looks at Goodman and says, "With all due respect, sir, I didn't say I didn't say, nor do I think that y'all had anything to do with it. But I am concerned that this got out. What else is going to get out there for public consumption before they're really ready to for stuff to get out?" Which everybody and their brother that has a Facebook page or a Facebook account is that is paying attention to this case is putting all theories that they can possibly come up with out there in the comments, and it's very annoying. But go ahead.
Yeah, but and to be fair to even I guess the defense of this, like, or the defense attorney, I mean, I think it's fair to say that in the court of public opinion in West Tennessee, he's already guilty. So that's why I would bring up, like, I would be asking for, like, we need to do this elsewhere. I know it made national news, but I don't think it was nearly covered nationally like the way it was here, like obsessively covered for several days, by a bunch of different people, not just like traditional media outlets, but your influencers or whatever else. So yeah, man, I'd be trying to have this venue change in a second.
I
But
could see him going somewhere like Memphis
mhm.
because
It would have to be in the state of Tennessee, though, correct? Like you couldn't go outside of that. I don't
I would
know.
imagine so.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, maybe he could go outside the state since they're so close to three other states from where Tiptonville is. But well, four if you want to count Illinois. But I could see him moving it to Memphis because kind of like how, wow, this is going to sound like a really weird comparison, but I'm still going to make it anyways. When the NAIA tournament, hush,
Okay,
okay, stop.
keep going. Okay, keep going.
When it left Jackson,
Hmm.
and for the 22 years it was here, for about 14 of those 22 years, it was the big thing in town in the month of March in Jackson
Hmm.
and what in rural West Tennessee. Uh, so if they could somehow built it up, they would have kept it here because it generated a lot of support locally. But that support started waning. Then Frankfort, Kentucky came in and offered them more money, blah, blah, blah. But then Frankfort wound up being a bust. And after 2 or 4 years or whatever, they wound up moving again and it went to Kansas City. How much support you think that thing got in Kansas City? Yeah, very little
Hmm.
because there's so much stuff going on in Kansas City that nobody cares.
Right.
Well, if this trial, happens in Tiptonville or Dyersburg or Union City or Alamo or wherever, it's going to get a lot of attention, as it should. And definitely if it comes to Jackson. But if it goes to Memphis,
They got their own problems they're dealing with down
yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's 2 million people down there, and maybe 200,000 of them have heard of Austin Drummond and are
Right.
familiar with. Oh yeah, there was a manhunt that lasted a week in Jackson, and that's talking right now. 2 years from now or 3 years from now, when this trial were
Whenever
to
this.
happen,
Hmm.
yeah, it would probably be more like 2,000 people. So, I mean, I could see it happening. I'm not arguing for it to happen, but I could see it happen.
Right. Yeah. I'm not arguing for it, but that's what I would do if I was a defensive. That's I would try to be moving this out of this area because I mean I don't even know how you're gonna pick a jury for this because everybody. I mean, like, who hasn't heard about this at this point around here?
Well, who hadn't heard of the O.J. Simpson trial when that one went to
Yeah.
jury?
Well, you saw how that turned out.
Yeah, but I will
Just
say, I will remind everybody, in the annals of big time West Tennessee trials, the Holly Bobo case got a change of venue. It
right.
was it should have been in Decaturville or Parsons, whichever one is the county seat with the courthouse there. They're pretty much the same town, so or at least to me they are. My apologies to the Decaturville Parsons people who take offense to that. Um, but it moved all the way to the far, far away land of Hardin County.
Yeah.
And Savannah, which I was like, if you're going to change a venue, are you really just going to the next county down? But
You just get on the boat and going down the river. Just
yeah, there you go.
Multiple pathways.
Yeah, you got to go upstream though, so you got to work hard to get there. Only the ones that want it.
So. That's right.
Yeah, you're going down geographically, but by that time the river has swung up, so you're going upstream.
Right. I think the Earth is flat, actually. So I'm just
You're
kidding.
Democrat.
I'm not. No, I'm the opposite. No, Democrats don't think that. QAnon thinks that, and Chuck Walker probably.
Yeah, all probably right. Chuck Walker.
Probably Chuck Walker. So let's, unless there's anything else that we need to get to from today that's pressed from the bond, the revoked bond hearing.
One thing that I referred to earlier. At one point, the farmer asked, "Have y'all figured out a time for when these murders happened?" And they announced at like 8 or 9 that night. TBI did that they had found 4 bodies in Lake County. But their estimation, I'm assuming based off of medical examiner and coroner type work, was sometime in the morning. And so, and I was talking about it with the office manager at the Lake County Banner. So they're thinking these people were killed in the morning. Well, the call didn't come into the Dyer County Sheriff's Office until 3:00 that afternoon about the baby in the yard. So next week when we have the preliminary hearing for the quadruple murder case, I mean, I'm wondering if we're going to hear kind of the timeline and if they have any evidence of what happened there, or if we're ever going to know what happened there.
I think obviously this is a good segue into sort of the partner story to this. These details are starting to slowly come out, and I'm sure September 4th, and then on past that, when we really get into this stuff, we're going to hear a lot of hard things that people who are close to this and who have been impacted by this personally probably either already know because they've been informed by attorneys or whatever, or they're going to find out, and that's going to be really hard. And some of those people you talked to, and it was the parents of, and I don't want to get the name wrong, and it's on the back page. Was it
James Matthew Wilson II?
James Matthew Wilson. And how was that conversation? Was that a difficult conversation to have when you were asking them questions, or did you just sort of let them spill, for lack of a better term?
After about the third question, I just finally had to say, y'all, can we just go ahead and assume that every question I'm going to ask is a dumb question? Or I feel like it's a dumb question because, I mean, you're talking to 2 parents who have lost their son, lost the mother of their grandchild, and a couple of members of her family. And if that wasn't bad enough that they're all dead, everything surrounding the death, the manhunt, the apprehension, the rumors, a lot of speculation, innuendo going on online regarding the case and the deceased people. And I've seen today with the post on Facebook from the Drummond hearing today that there's a few people out there that's going to go online and defend Drummond, and I'm not saying they shouldn't or should or anything, but if I have lost a member of my family in a murder, and the authorities are telling me we've got good evidence, we're not telling you yet, but we've got good evidence that suggests this person did it, and somebody else is getting on Facebook saying it wasn't them, he's being set up or something like that, I'm not gonna be a big fan of that. So it's just a lot obviously to deal with. And then on top of that, they told me in the conversation that the grandchild that was placed in a car seat in a yard just to be found in the middle of the afternoon during one of the hottest weeks of the year. So we don't know how long she was out there, but I mean, they told me during this conversation that she was fine. As of 10 or 11 days ago, um, she was still in DCS custody. Um, so she's not with the family, and so the granddaughter has, for lack of a better term, been taken away from her, but been taken away from them. So it's just they are just dealing with a lot.
I cannot imagine.
So no, I don't want to imagine.
No. Mm-mm.
And so the first question I asked, to just go ahead and kind of break the ice, get the conversation started, was, "How y'all doing?" And they tell me they're just essentially taking one step at a time, taking one breath at a time. Um, they go to work, get their jobs done. If there's a hearing that they got to go to, or a funeral or whatever, their bosses and managers are good about giving them time off to go deal with it and essentially recover from it. Almost take mental health days
Yeah.
to deal with it. Um, and So it's just a very revealing conversation. And I'll be honest with you, I those two people. There were four people in the room, a couple of other family members that weren't a part of the story, um, but all four of them were all close to the deceased, and everyone who is that close connected to this group are showing so much resilience and strength just to be able to. I mean, because if I'm Matt Wilson, Matthew's dad, well, he hadn't been in the room when Drummond's been in the courthouse. The two hearings uh, that everybody's been, none of the families of the four were there today, so they hadn't been in the same room with Drummond yet. But I would have a difficult time staying in my seat,
Yeah.
if I were one of them. And knowing that he's in the next building over in the Lake County Jail, which is right behind the courthouse, everybody would have to keep their eyes on me to make sure I didn't try to sneak in a side door somewhere with some type of offensive weapon.
Right.
So let's go ahead and get some justice carried out. I'm willing to deal with whatever happens afterward.
Like Samuel L. Jackson, The Time to Kill. You ever see that movie?
I didn't see it, but yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, there you go. I think so. Overall, would you describe them as like his parents? They angry, sad? Was there like a predominant emotion, or they just sort of numb, still trying to like make this make sense logically, even though they never will. But trying to, as our brains do as humans, we need things to make sense or have some sort of order. Are they in that phase of it now, or like what was their predominant state of mind?
I would say the main thing, I mean, it was, I think sadness still is the majority of the emotion there, but I think anger is starting to build.
Mm.
So anger may take over by the time we get to September 4th preliminary hearing next week. But the main things they want, that the anger and sadness are mixed with, is right now they want justice. And and they want to be left alone to grieve. And it's not like they're getting hounded during the grieving process, but like, and I'm going to have a column, or it's either going to be a column or an editorial in this coming week's paper where I'm urging people, hey, during the Holly Bovo trial, some of the online comments got bad because everybody thought this was just a episode of CSI that just hit close to home, and no, it was actually real people with real emotions and real suffering. And a lot of people were getting too much, for lack of a better word, they were getting too much entertainment out of it.
Yeah.
And we're already way down that road with this case too. Um, So how about everybody just dial it back and
Yeah.
let the process play out. Trust the process, like Eric Jones liked to tell us um, when he was the superintendent at Jackson Madison County Schools. Trust the process. Let it play out. No matter what happens, unless something drastic that's not part of the plan happens, this is going to take years to
Yeah.
play out. So everybody just kind of sit back, let the family grieve, and then when it's time for a hearing, then we'll do that and not second guess the Drummond's testimony. If he testifies, we don't need to second guess the DA's case, law enforcement testimony, or even second guess when Drummond has a unusual phone call interview with a media member from Nashville.
Oh, I wasn't even going to bring it up, but yes,
Well, we
I
don't
think,
have to discuss it, but it's
yeah,
just seeing all the stuff
it's
that's
look.
deriving from that. It's just like, y'all, shut up.
And here's the thing. Obviously, when there's a manhunt, it's news, and I do think the public should be informed. But at some
Yeah.
point, you sort of like the shark gets jumped, and it's now you're trying to get clicks, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
think, man, I would love it if people were respectful. This day and time, I just don't see that happening. I feel like any type of just like drop of blood in the water, social media is going to pounce. Hell, even some news organizations are going to pounce. You're going to see the red exclamation points to get your attention, and it's just going to be that on repeat. And so, um, could you imagine the Bobo case if social media was as active as it was today back then? Because it wasn't as like when she went missing was 2011. Like it was,
Right.
social media was nowhere near what it is now. I mean, it was out there obviously, but what we got now is it's a lot.
I have since gone back. The trial was in 2017, right after I moved from sports to news.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't involved in the actual coverage of the trial. Uh, Kenny, my buddy, who is now the photographer for Mayor Conger at City Hall, he was one that was covering it visually. And a former reporter, possibly the best crime reporter that I ever worked with, Miranda Ferris, who went on to work for BBJ for a little while as, I think, an assignment editor, and she's now gotten out of journalism. That's a big loss for journalism, her getting out. Um, they were down in Savannah for 3 weeks straight covering that trial, and um, and they kind of pointed me in the direction of some true crime podcasts who were covering it, because I was asking, like, as I was watching that trial, it was always stuff we're getting referenced. And I had no idea what they were talking about, because for the first 6 years of that case, I was um, watching football and basketball and going to spring fling every year. I wasn't. I mean, I knew it had happened, but wasn't keeping up with the main details. And they said, well, get educated by listening to some podcasts. And so the comments section on Facebook and the replies on Twitter weren't as bad as they would have been if that had happened now. But it's like the comments now in 2025 are trying to be like those true crime podcasts,
Yeah.
where in 45 minutes they're going down roads that these people have no business going down, because they've never been to rural West Tennessee. They're just going on stuff that they heard,
Yeah.
um,
Speculation.
that might have a kernel of truth to it, and then just blowing it up. Well, if this happened, then this probably happened
Ugh.
because this happened. Blah 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 blah.
There's a
And
fine line between critical thinking and conspiracy theory. Like there really is. It's like a razor's edge that you have to balance and know when to stop and know when um, things are not even correlation anymore. Like they're not causation. They're
mm,
not even correlation. Now it's just speculation. And I feel like people run rampant with that. And then not just in this case, but with just anything, right? Like
mm-hmm.
everybody wants to sound smart, and sometimes the best way to sound smart is to go down a rabbit hole. And I think it's easy to sound smart when you don't have to have definitive proof of something, right? When you have
Yeah.
just enough to you know, I don't really know, but I know this, and I don't know. I don't have a lot of time for it, but I'm afraid we're gonna be in for a heavy dose of it
Yep.
when this does go to trial. So, hey, maybe not. Fingers crossed. All right, let's get to some happy stuff, man. Okay, so this is quite a turn. Obviously, talking to Matthew Wilson's parents, I mean, that's a very sobering thing that you had to do. On the flip side of that, you got to write a really cool story about a local soldier who came home to surprise his kids at a football game. So tell us about that. Were you there at the game, or did you just sort of talk to them after the aftermath?
Yeah, I found out about it. It happened on Thursday night, August the 14th. I found out about it either that night or the next day when Brad Gaskins at Southside, he's the
Mhm.
broadcast teacher at Southside, um, he was there because uh, West Bemis Middle, they play their home football games at Southside Stadium. So he was there. I guess he was told that this was happening. Um, and yeah, Adam Shed. Um, was Shed his last name? I'm sorry. My
That's
apologies.
okay. I got it right here. Yeah,
Yeah,
Shed
please
or
help me make
Sheed?
sure we get this name right. Okay. Yeah,
Shead.
yeah. We'll go with Shed.
Okay.
Honestly, when I did the interview with him, I never said, "How do I pronounce your name?" because I didn't think about the fact that we now do a weekly podcast. But
All right.
my apologies if it's Sheed. But
Or Shihad. Could be. We
Adam
don't know.
Shed. No, we're going to go with Shed and
Okay.
Hush.
All right.
But yeah, he had been in Kuwait for a year. Or that's where he was shipped out to in September of last year. Spent some time in Syria.
Wow.
Kind of, he wasn't involved in actual combat for the most part. He's maintenance. He's the one that's keeping the tanks running smoothly for when they do get into combat. Um, and so he's not directly involved unless things are getting real bad. But he was in some dangerous areas because the reason why they're in Syria, well, first, Syria itself is already unstable, but it was getting even more unstable when you got Israel and Iran and the United States firing missiles at each other right over their heads. So they were kind of dealing with that, and I'm sure the Gaza conflict had something to do with it too, because I'm in Gaza right in between Israel and Syria.
Sure.
Yeah,
I,
let's go with that.
yeah. I have no idea.
Uh, yeah, but so he spent about 11 months over there. Now the good thing about it being 2025 is that well, first off, this was his third deployment. He
Mm.
was a 2008 graduate of Southside, and 2 weeks after graduation, he signs up with the National Guard. Um, and then I think a year later or 2 years later, he's going to Iraq.
Wow.
Um, and then uh, in 21, I think he spent a year in Ukraine, and he was brought back home a couple of months before Russia attacked him. Um, he told me, and I think I quoted him in the story that 6 months after he gets home, he's watching news coverage, and he sees that like a gym that he helped build in the town where they were stationed and some other stuff they helped build all blown away because of Russian attacks. Um, so that was his third deployment. His first deployment, he was single and young and didn't really have anything to worry about when it comes to home life. But by the time he went to Ukraine, he had gotten married, um, and he and his wife Trina had two kids that are now in fifth and seventh grades, or sixth and eighth grades. Sixth and eighth grade now. They were in fifth and seventh when he left.
So
And
so. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, what were you about to say?
So he was gone from them for a year. You said 11 months,
Mhm.
essentially?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
late September to early August, so 10.5 months or so. We'll round up to a year, and but so during that time, you got two kids that are in a pretty important phase
Yeah.
of childhood and development. Uh, Particularly the son. That's really a time when, if dad can be around, he should. He
Mm-hmm.
should be. Um, and then on top of that, Trina was in a car wreck. There was a. They didn't elaborate, and I didn't ask them to, but apparently there was a close friend or family member who died, and they were dealing with that. Um, and just a bunch of other issues that Trina was having to deal with Adam on the other side of the world, literally.
Hmm.
And fortunately, it's 2025, and FaceTime and Facebook Messenger, they were able to communicate on a regular basis, and not every day. They didn't talk every day, but nearly every day they did. If they didn't, it was because he had a lot going on, was incredibly busy. But for the most part, they were able to communicate, and if he had any advice or could tell, oh, you just had a wreck. This is the body shop you should take it to. Stuff like that. Um, but so, but they get word that he's coming home, and um, Trina gets word that he's going to be home, or he's going to be landing at the base at Smyrna, however you pronounce it, about 2 o'clock on the afternoon of the 13th. But they got delayed so much, they didn't get to see each other until about 11 o'clock that night.
Oh man.
If he had gotten back to the base at 2 o'clock, the plan was to surprise the kids, I think, on their way to school the next morning.
Oh yeah. That'd be so
Um,
cool.
yeah, but instead, um, they just kind of said, you know what, let's just get a hotel room, let's hang out here, let's have a lazy day, take our time getting back, and we'll surprise them at the football game. And they were able to do it. That the visitors' locker room at Southside Stadium, which is over by the softball and baseball fields, he's kind of hanging out behind the building, and and you watching the video, you see him kind of coming up as the team's kind of huddled up before going out there for the kickoff. And Brad did a good job of being in the good position of seeing the son's face. The son's name is AJ Adam Jr. Um, AJ's face when he realized, oh, that's my dad.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then you see the daughter coming over, who is usually in the stands during her brother's game. But they were able to talk her into helping
Oh.
on the sideline. Uh, they were, Trina said, at first we are going to say get her to be the water girl, but she's never done water girl. So that would be just, she would know something was up then. So we just got one of her friends to say, hey, can you want to hang out with me on the sideline? Just kind of help me out, whatever. Who's usually down there. So that's what they did. So she got to be down there. And Trina stayed away. She didn't get on the field. She wasn't there part. She said, this is their moment.
Mm.
So I'm going to let them have it. And I'm just going to stand over on the home side of the stadium, leaning on the fence, crying while it happens. So
I'd be crying too. I can't. I mean, I'm sure there were tears shed, and not just by Trina, but man, what a special moment. So is he here for good now, or is he going to have to go back at some point somewhere?
he's hoping he won't have to go back. His plan is to retire in 3 years when he's got his 20
Oh,
years in.
okay.
And so when you've been deployed, I think you're guaranteed 1 year uh, before you get deployed again. um, and usually when a soldier is getting close to retirement, there's usually considerations given to not send them back
Yeah.
again unless they just want to go, or unless our country for some reason needs that guy or girl to go back over one more time. So he's hoping he's done, but that is up to I guess President Trump and Governor Lee, and because technically the Tennessee National Guard is under the governor's authority.
I could say a few things right now.
Yeah.
He'll wind up in a Democratic run city at some point as National Guard, I'm sure, to squelch crime, because that's the trend right now, apparently.
Well, he was in Nashville last week, so.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets to stay here and in Jackson with his kids. Obviously, he's been deployed 3 times. Thank you so much for your service, and man,
Yeah.
you deserve to be with your family. So hopefully that's the scenario that we have.
One more joke. Some of our Republicans say he's already in a Democrat-run city. All right, let's go.
Oh well, we're a healthy purple, I think, right? In Jackson. But yeah, reference to Mayor Conger, which is pretty hilarious. I'm gonna tell you a little aside here as well, which is kind of hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
All right, Conger has never been, to my knowledge, he has never come out and said what he was, right? A Democrat or Republican, mainly because it doesn't matter in his position. But
Right.
I've heard from other people that he's, apparently somebody pulled his voting records or whatever, and it's just a mixed bag of whatever, right? As someone who has been called a liberal many times, I would not consider Scott Conger a liberal. I would consider him very moderate, and you don't really know what side he falls on, as I think that should be in his position. But I was at I don't know if it was a fundraiser, it was a get together for him whenever he was running for mayor the second time against Ray Condrey. And we were in the house, and some lady comes in. I will not say the name. She's wearing a blue hat, a blue dress, and she's like, "Here comes the blue wave!" Right? It's this whole thing, and everybody's sitting there like, A, this is not a partisan race. B, I don't even think Scott Conger is a Democrat. Like, I don't even think this is a thing, but she sure thought so, and she was in there like, really touting this blue wave that was coming. And even people were looking at each other, and even I think Scott was like kind of, a little confused by what was happening. So yeah, it's just it's interesting how that works. It is funny because I've heard the same thing, that Jackson is a Democrat run city.
I didn't mean to go down that trail, so that was all Gabe.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm looking forward to the timestamp on this. 1 hour to 1:02 is Scott Conger Democrat. Just randomly put in there.
It's just, we just throw it in there. I just find it hilarious now how partisan things are. So, but the homecoming story was a wonderful story. Not to distract from that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need more good stories like that, man. We've hit like the polar opposite of human interest stories tonight, right? With the Drummond thing and then this. So
are we going to spend 45 minutes on the homecoming, or
probably not? Do you want to spend 45 minutes on the homecoming?
Well, we spent 45 on Drummond, but
we did. There was a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a cool story, and hopefully he can stay here permanently or for at least a long time to see his kids navigate their middle school years.
Yeah.
He might have been like, man, maybe I should have stayed one more year. Middle school years are tough. Get them when they're like their prefrontal cortexes are a little more developed. Just kidding. Okay, so county commission. Speaking of politics, and let's get to the meat of this quick. Pope opened finally, and the first day it seemed there was an issue with carpool, and then I saw the people on social media saying like, "Man, the roads are really crowded. It's very narrow." A traffic study, I guess, was never done before they built it, or was it? I'm very confused about the lead up to this, because I feel like there are a lot of like the school board's like, we're not paying for it. County's like, we're not paying for it. City's like, we're not paying for it. So how did this all shake out, and why is the county commission wanting to do one now?
All right. So the further back I go, the quicker I want to get through the early part of kind of walking us back up to this point. 2019, the county commission unilaterally says, because the school board was discussing, some people said they wanted to put the new pope where Eric Jones wanted it put, which is its current position. Other people wanted to put it at another spot, which is essentially where the new Jackson Clinic / Baptist
3.
Hospital Surgery Center is now at the essentially at the corner of Highland and the bypass. So because the Republicans on the county commission supported Eric Jones, and actually at the time in 2019, Ray Washington was the interim superintendent at that point. They said, well, we're going to do what Eric wanted and what Ray continues to support. We're just going to go ahead and buy the land on Ashport and say this is where you're going to put it. In the months after that, every school board meeting when Pope was brought up, former school board member Doris Black always said, are we going to do a traffic study? Every county commission meeting that this was brought up, Tommy Gobble always said, is there going to be a traffic study done? Every time either one of them brought it up, everyone else in the room would roll their eyes. So they never did a traffic study. 22, the county commission budgets $48 million to give to the school system to build it. Summer of 22, they had the ceremonial groundbreaking. Summer of 23, they actually start construction. In the fall of 23, the Jackson Board of Zoning Appeals has a traffic study done on that site. And when they say traffic study, the traffic study that was done in the fall of 2023 and the traffic study that's going to be done in the fall of 2025 are two very different processes. The one done in 2023 was largely based on, according to statements by both Mayor A.J. Massey, now the mayor. Well, he was mayor in 23 too. Okay.
Is he Republican or
Mayor
Democrat?
A.J. Massey.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Yes, he's Republican. So, wow, way to totally derail that train. Yeah, but like one statement that Massey made back in the winter when they were discussing this is the traffic study based on Old Humboldt Road was based on national averages. I'm using air quotes if you're just listening to this on Spotify. I'm like, how do you get a national average of the traffic on Old Humboldt Road? But apparently the firm who did it, which was Orthcutt Winslow, apparently somebody somewhere has a database that they have access to that takes similar roads with similar housing numbers and demographics and neighborhoods and all that stuff, and are able to kind of say, well, based on similar data, this is what we can project. But also another flaw with it was so the school was when it moved, grew from a capacity of 400 kids in the building, not counting the trailers and stuff, to a capacity of 1,250 in the current building, the new building. Mm-hmm. So they were banking on 1,250 new kids or new families coming to the new school, plus also adding in the 600 that was already in the old building and the trailers, and adding that. So they got 1,800 kids coming to this school because they're counting a bunch of kids twice. So that kind of, according to the county and school board people, they felt like that was throwing some numbers off, which, yeah, it sounds like that would throw some numbers off. So, and apparently that was one reason that they never actually said publicly why they were against the Board of Zoning Appeals requirements for off-site improvements before the school opened. The 4 phases, the turning lane on Ashport Road, which the school board had budgeted for and have done. And then phase 2 is the roundabout. Phase 3 was widening the intersection at Old Humboldt and Ashport. And phase 4 is widening the right turn lane or extending the right turn lane from Old Humboldt onto the bypass. Uh, so the county and school board, nor the city, wanted to pay for the other three. Uh, well, so um, earlier this year, they Mayor Conger, right at the end of 2025, beginning of 2020, or right at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, he sends out a letter to the school board, county commission, city council, and the media saying, yeah, the city is not backing up on this. We're not going to help you pay for it. You're the developer. This is how we treat every developer. This needs to be done. And so over about 6 weeks later in February, they struck the deal, but the terms of the deal never came out until the end of February, early part of March, I believe. They had a compromise among the three entities. They sat Dr. King, I imagine Harvey Walton, the chairman of the school board, was in these meetings. Mayor Massey, Mike Taylor, the chairman of the county commission, Mayor Conger, and I imagine Stan Pilot, the city planner, were all in these meetings, and they came up with a compromise. And one of the conditions of the compromise was the county will do another traffic study, but whatever that traffic study determines, the county will be legally bound to do, no matter what they say. So,
Okay. So wait, so the county's doing
now,
the study, and then the county has to do what the study says.
yes.
Okay.
And so last week at the county commission meeting, they had 6 months after school started to get this done. So school started on August the 4th. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they've got till
Students
February
started,
4th to get this done. Right. Yeah. So they've got till February 4th to get this done. So the highway commissioner, Bart Walls, and the highway committee chairman, Richard Watson, made a recommendation to the county commission to approve the traffic study. And then Walls stood up and said, hey, we also need to make sure that we add on to this resolution that not only are we going to do the study, but we're going to do whatever the study tells us we need to do. And so they've got 6 months to do the study and come up with findings and say, hey, this is what the study suggested we do. This is what we're going to do. So I think they still got to figure out what firm they're going to sign it. What's that?
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Surely not the one they used in 2019 that wants to take an average of a town in Minnesota that's similar to Jackson.
I mean, it could be them. They're going to bid it out. Okay. But I imagine that if it is them, they're going to be like, look, you're not going to do what you did last time.
Right.
Like, we're probably going to put those cables on the roads and actually do traffic counts. Or you will put representatives out here and you'll be sitting in the corner of the parking lot doing a head count of every. Yeah. So, but they're probably going to do that. The plan is to have that done October, maybe early November. And then that'll give, if it's done by November, that'll give them 3 months minus the holidays to get all the numbers crunched and analysis done so that they can have a recommended plan of action by the end of January.
Okay.
So
would they say anything
so
like
how at this point?
How has traffic been out there? Did they say anything about that or?
I mean, it's gotten better since the first day of school.
Okay.
I mean, I saw some Facebook posts that apparently people were sitting in line for 2.5 hours on the first day of school. I realized the first day of school is going to be bad. I mean, the first day of school in Medina was bad.
Yeah, it's bad everywhere for that.
But 2.5 hours seems a little much.
Well, I mentioned this a few weeks ago on here. Like, I think when I started at Northeast, it was the same thing. We had this huge influx, school within the school kind of deal, had over 1,000 kids. It was about an hour and a half. I remember parents were coming in chewing people out because they were so frustrated. So I don't think that's just what happens. And so I'm sure that part has been smoothed over. I was just wondering, like, now what is it like now that we're 3 weeks in? like how crowded is it out there? What is like sort of the time it takes to get through that line, drop your kid off, and then go?
That is probably a good story idea that I'll probably write. I may wait
There
till
you
after
go.
Labor Day before I write it.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. You're welcome. All
Yeah,
right, so good.
thank
I'm
you. Yeah,
glad
thanks
that's
for the
getting
story
done.
idea.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Last story. Commissioner's Cup. That is the sort of made up thing that started a few years ago. The county commission
Everything
decided
is
to.
made up. Come on,
It's
dude.
well, I just mean like
The
it
Rose
was
Bowl was made up.
born into existence a few years ago, the Commissioner's Cup, and it is
Yes.
essentially a competition between the public high schools in Jackson. I have a football team, which are Liberty, I almost said Madison, Liberty, JCM, Northside, and Southside.
Hmm.
So you said last week that, or maybe 2 weeks ago, that you believe probably whoever wins the JCM Northside game will be the eventual winner of the Commissioner's Cup, right?
Hmm.
So we'll get to that in a minute because I was at that game. You were at the
Right.
media day for the Commissioner's Cup. Is that what they call it? And
Yep.
so what was it like? What was it like there? I know a couple of players from JCM were there and participated. One of my former
Hmm.
students was one of them. So, what were the takeaways? How was the energy? What was the media like?
Well, a lot of the media were asking questions that just made themselves look good. But what is media if they're not self promoting? I never asked any of those questions.
You only
Anyway,
ask good questions.
um, so what?
Says you only ask good questions.
According to certain district attorneys and certain governors in the state, yes, I ask good questions. So,
All right. Okay.
um, but anyways, the yeah, I mean the coaches are just glad to get the season started, and this is typically done on the Tuesday or Wednesday before the season starts on Friday, possibly on Thursday. So there's a lot of excitement for that. Now, I mean, some of the players were real and kept it real, which I like that, and I'm not criticizing it. When they get questions about how important is the Commissioner's Cup to them, and some
What did they
players
say?
were, well, we always want to win, but if we have to choose between the Commissioner's Cup or a state championship,
Was that a JCM kid that said that? By the way, it's okay because I feel. Look. I mean, if we're just gonna be
yeah,
real about, yeah, of course it will. I mean, because that's sort of yeah. I mean, like, God,
yeah,
Commissioner's Cup's great for what
there
it is, but like, we're everybody's more worried about their district than they are playing some out of district game within the city.
there's a
Go ahead.
deputy superintendent in the room, so yeah, there's no protecting the player. Yeah, it was a JCM kid, but I mean,
Good.
but I totally get it. I mean, because
Good for him.
I mean, they went 9-3. They had a chance at winning the region last year. They made the second round of the playoffs. The team that put them out made it to the state championship game and lost, finished runner up. So if you were a player on the JCM's team last year and you're back this year, you're like, how close were we? So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally get that. Um, and I like that mindset, but also at the same time, there's also 3 games on your schedule against your cousins and people that you hang out with, people that live down the street from you, people you go to church with, people you see when you go to Steve O's Wings or wherever, and um, and there's a trophy that goes with the bragging rights if you win all 3 of those games. Um, Now, Liberty, because they are playing an independent schedule for the next couple of years, um, Coach Gillard, Robert Gillard, the head coach at Liberty, he said that's our state championship. That's the only trophy we have a shot at winning.
Mm.
So yeah, we're going for it.
That's a good line
So
right there.
uh, yeah, and and indications last week suggest that they might have a better shot at competing for it than they've had in the last 6 years.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Better shot.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, But Southside, I mean, I said that the winner, and I'm sticking by that prediction for now, that the winner of the JCM Northside game is going to be the one who wins Commissioner's Cup this year. But Southside's showing in their 35-28 loss at Milan, they competed better in that game than I expect them to.
Mm-hmm.
And so good for them. And now I'm intrigued by what are we going to see from the Hawks over the next 9 out of the next 10 weeks.
Last year JCM Southside game was very close. I mean, I don't know if people realize that. It ended up being a 2-score game, but just because JCM scored a late touchdown, it was a 1-possession game pretty much the entire time, and JCM was down to start that game by at
Mm-hmm.
least 1 score, maybe 2. Like they got off to a kind of a rough start in that Southside
Mm-hmm.
game last year, so that should be a good game Thursday night. I was at the Northside JCM game, and it was a really good game. It's
It was
funny.
crunk.
It was it's weird. It was actually the opposite of that. It was honestly the quietest football game I'd been at. It was very strange. I can remember there was a 4th and short from Northside. JC was down 2, I think it was third or fourth quarter, and they stopped them to get a turnover on downs. It was so quiet, I didn't even realize it was 4th down. I thought it was second or third, honestly, because you
Wow.
would think the crowd would just be, and it was, but that's just sort of the way it was the whole game. It was very strange. Um, but when I first got there, I was sitting with the basketball coaches, and we were at top, and we were trying to pick out Javante Smith. Is that his first name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were trying to pick him out, and I'm like, I can't see him. Like you would think, and this is what I said out loud, and then I immediately ate my words. But I said, you would think that a D1 football player would stand out, like he would be easy to, and I can't find him. As soon as I said that, the Northside quarterback unleashed like a 45-yard bomb in the air, which like actually he was underthrown. He underthrew Javante. He adjusted, caught it on his hip down at the 1. So I was like, oh, okay, there he is. Northside scores. The next possession, JCM has the ball. He has a pick 6. Northside's up 14-0. And I was like, I should never have said anything because there's a D1 athlete right there. And then from then on, it was back and forth. JCM ended up tying it up at 14 at halftime. There was a huge hit by another guy who's going to be D1 for JCM at some point, Jalen Eckford. He knocked Javante
Yeah.
Smith's mouthpiece out on a kickoff return. Like it was an intense game. JCM ended up forcing a fumble on Javante in the fourth quarter and had a couple penalties that made it like 1st and 35, and they could never quite get back over that hump. They had a chance
Yeah.
at the end. They threw an interception, but it was one of those games that was hard fought. 2 really big plays were the difference, and they were both made by Javante Smith, right? And that's why he's D1. So
In the first quarter.
in the first quarter, 14-0 within the first 3 minutes, all of that kid pretty
Wow.
much. Yeah. So it was a good
But
atmosphere. It was a
but
fun game. Go ahead.
and also, I mean, it just hearing. I didn't listen to the whole game, but to the part that I listened to, I am encouraged. If I'm a JCM fan, I'm encouraged by how good their defense played once they figured out, oh yeah, we need to stick number 25. And I mean, they held Northside with a D1 caliber athlete, at least one D caliber athlete, to 6 points for.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. Moral victories won't get you region championships or in the playoffs, but if you take a moral victory away from week 1, that can help you get actual victories weeks 2 through 10 and get you in the playoffs. So, and also they probably learned a lot of lessons in those first 3 minutes that will help them win over the next 9 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think they feel bad coming out. I mean, you never want to lose, obviously, but it's like, okay, we can clean up 2 things. That's a win, right? Like they weren't dominated by any stretch of the imagination, right? So you can do something with that, right? They're just mistakes that you made, and you clean those up, and then I think they're in a really good spot. I think this will be a tough game for them Thursday night. I wouldn't be surprised if Southside pulled that out, but I feel like JCM last year, if you think about it, like most of their games were close, right? Like they didn't really, I mean, especially within the district. So it's going to come down to one or two plays every game for them, and they just got to be the ones that make those rather than the ones that give them up. I think your battery's running low, wasn't it? I saw your screen go blank a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I still got more than 10. So.
Oh, okay.
But good grief, we have been doing this nearly an hour and a half.
This is our longest episode so far. I think honestly though, the first 45 was the Drummond stuff. So, and then.
Well, the first 10 was talking NFL and college football and stadiums and stuff.
That's
but yeah. Then the next 45 was Drummond.
Yeah, and then this Scott Conger, Democrat.
And then we started speculating who's a Republican and who's a Democrat. Yeah.
Just for fun. All right. Well, that was a good one. I am interested to see how all of this ends up playing out with the Drummond stuff. I feel like we're going to have like a lot more serious conversations about it in the coming weeks. So hopefully there'll be some light news to balance it as well.
I will do my best to find some light news.
Thank you.
No promises, though.
All right. All right. Well, we will see y'all next week. You gonna say bye?
See ya.
Okay.
I did.